From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Afternoon Edition.
And right now in the Afternoon Edition, the storm is moving in, the wind shaking our Oakland camera as an atmospheric river gets ready to drench the Bay Area. Good afternoon, I'm Ryan Yamamoto. It is a first alert weather day. The Bay Area is under a wind advisory. The storm is expected to pick up this afternoon, bringing heavy rain and a chance of thunderstorms. Let's give you a live look right now at the conditions right now. One of our photographers, Trevor Harmon, who is driving in San Jose. He is at a stoplight right now, but you can see it's very cloudy outside. The roads are extremely wet, and so it's very damp. And so if you're hitting the roads, make sure you are careful. So in the meantime, let's check in with meteorologist Zoe Mintz with a look at our forecast.
Roads out there right now because you are going to be seeing some sort of wetness.
But the prompter.
Big activity isn't going to be arriving until I would say about an hour or so from now, as we are going to continue to see the heaviest band of rain beginning to move in. North Bay community seeing it first and then continuing to push south across basically the entirety of the Bay Area throughout this afternoon. It's right now, again, over the ocean. This band of rain is what's going to continue to make its way farther and farther across the Bay Area into this afternoon, where it's going to bring those very gusty winds, 50 to 55 mile an hour wind gusts, which is why we do have wind advisories in effect across the entirety of the Bay Area through 8 o'clock tonight. Something to keep your eye on. If you haven't secured any loose outdoor objects, and they haven't already blown away, they will over the next couple of hours. How much rain has already fallen, though? Nothing too crazy. We've seen a couple of hundredths of an inch across most of the Bay Area. Again, early this morning, it was the lighter showers that we were seeing. It wasn't anything too heavy or too impactful. Again, it is this afternoon that we are expecting the more impactful weather to officially arrive. Taking a closer look at that satellite and radar again, it is just the low-hanging showers, the foggy, the misty conditions. But it's in the distance that you can see that all of this heavy rainfall in Northern California, that's going to continue to push south over our neck of the woods over the next several hours. And it is just the first in a series of storm systems on the way. A few lingering showers Thursday afternoon before another storm system pushes in by Friday. And that is the second of a 3-storm series that will be on the way. The third storm will be heading our way Sunday and into Monday of next week. So there is a lot of activity on the way, but the good news is there's going to be breaks in between the storms each day. So big flooding threats, not the biggest concern. Today, the biggest concern is the winds that will likely knock down a bit of trees, might lead to some sporadic power outages. I'll break down the details on how long this active weather pattern will stick around and how long you'll have to keep that umbrella handy. That'll be coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Zoe. Well, it's been an up and down week on Wall Street. Here's a live look at the big board right now. You can see it is up about 29 points, but a bit of a roller coaster ride pretty much all week long, even last week. And as you can see, it's now in the positive territory this afternoon. And part of the volatility comes from the tariff whiplash happening in Washington. Today, the EU and Canada announced retaliatory tariffs following new U.S. tariffs that took effect overnight in imported steel and aluminum. It comes as Trump administration is also cutting the Department of Education by nearly half. Natalie Brand has the latest developments from the White House.
At the White House, we have tremendous business relationships with Ireland, and that will only get stronger.
President Trump is meeting with the Taoiseach of Ireland today. It comes as the European Union announced it's punching back against new 25% U.S. tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports.
The European Union's been very tough, and it's our turn, too. You know, we get a turn at that also.
The EU says it will impose new duties on U.S. goods, including textiles and agricultural products.
Tariffs are taxes. They are bad for business and worse for consumers.
Imports account for an estimated 25% of steel and about half of aluminum used in the U.S., while the producers of those metals are applauding the president's new tariffs to spur domestic production. Other industries are bracing for increased costs. Jim Tobin is the CEO of the National Association of Home Builders.
We've seen some estimates that say that it could be up to $10,000 per home that these tariffs could increase the cost. But we're waiting to see. It's still going to be months before these tariffs truly find their bite and we see the impacts.
The administration is also moving forward with slashing the Department of Education, announcing plans to cut the workforce by nearly 50%.
The Department of Education says it will continue to deliver programs including student loans, Pell Grants, and funding for special needs students. Teachers groups have slammed the cuts. The National Education Association says the real victims will be the most vulnerable students.
Well, the department said impacted staff will be placed on leave starting Friday, March 21st. They will receive full pay and benefits until June 9th, in addition to severance and retirement benefits. And the first time in 4 months, inflation in the U.S. cooled off. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the consumer price index was 2.8% for the year-long period that ended in February. That's down from the 3% yearly rate reported in January. Economists say lower gas and grocery prices were major factors that helped bring down inflation. Specifically, egg prices were still up in February, but rose at a slower pace than in January. Also important to note, the data is from February, and it's too early to show the impact of President Trump's tariff policies. One of the state's largest school districts is now suing the government's Army Corps program. San Francisco Unified says the agency is withholding funds and making grant recipients prove they don't promote diversity, equity, and inclusive initiatives. The lawsuit argues the conditions violate federal law and undermine AmeriCorps' mission to support underserved areas. San Francisco schools rely on AmeriCorps' funding for mentoring and counseling programs. City Attorney David Chu argues the restrictions harm vulnerable students and violate their rights. Well, San Jose is expanding its downtown anti-sitting and sleeping ordinance. People can now be cited for sleeping on the sidewalk starting at 8 in the morning. The previous ordinance started at 10. San Jose city leaders say the change is to help businesses and police by allowing arrests for citations for repeat offenders. Police hope the move also cuts into the problem of open-air drug sales. Homeless advocates say it does nothing to address the root causes of homelessness. Well, today is the third day the VTA strike has brought buses and light rail service in Santa Clara County to a stop. 1,500 workers on the picket lines. Their contract expired about a week ago. The union says VTA's offer of a 9% pay raise over 3 years is not enough. VTA says giving union drivers the raise they want will result in service and job cuts. No word on how long the strike will last. The VTA has filed a legal complaint against the union to try and force the workers to return. Still ahead at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, doing it more from just the gram. How long does it take to snap more than 2 million photos? Meet the team in charge of digitizing the California Academy of Sciences' entire plant collection. And next, the warning from Caltrans on Sierra Travel, with a major winter storm arriving when they say the worst will hit. Well, the Sierra is bracing for one of the biggest storms of the season, bringing heavy snowfall. Strong winds, hazardous travel are expected through tomorrow. Caltrans says the worst of the snow is expected to hit this afternoon and evening. They're asking people to avoid the roads. But if you do have to go to the Sierra, make sure you have your change. Right now, there are no restrictions along Highway 50 or Interstate 80. And if you think it's becoming more rainy here in California, you're right. A study just published in the Journal of Climate says over the past 45 years, atmospheric rivers have been getting bigger, wetter, and more frequent. Atmospheric rivers are long and relatively narrow bands of water vapor that create heavy rain and wind events. Scientists have long predicted a warming climate would create bigger and nastier atmospheric rivers. Okay, let's take another live look outside. Give me a live look, and you see the Golden Gate Bridge there on your left and the San Mateo Bridge on your right. The cloudiness and looking a little ominous out there as that rainstorm is headed our way. Let's check back in with meteorologist Zoe Mintz. Hey, Zoe.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, we're looking at rain on the way. I think it's really interesting, that study, though, because just in general, a warmer climate can hold more water vapor in the atmosphere. Warmer things can hold more water, therefore more water can fall out of the sky. It's as simple as that. But yes, we are looking at our next atmospheric river. It is currently making its way over the Bay Area. It is not a crazy heavy atmospheric river, not super impactful, not nearly like the ones that we have seen previously this season. But it's something, and we will take whatever rain that we can get early this morning and throughout the early afternoon. It's just kind of the light, low-hanging, misty, drizzly conditions. It's not until later this afternoon that the stronger line of storms will arrive. This line that is currently sitting off the coast is going to be making its way over the Bay Area over the next several hours. I would say between 1 and 3 o'clock. This will be the time period that you'll be seeing the extremely gusty winds, 50 to 55 mile an hour gusts, which could lead to some downed tree limbs maybe some sporadic power outages. That's where all eyes are going to be on this afternoon, along with a bit of ponding in low-lying areas. Places that are used to seeing flooding with these kind of systems likely going to be seeing a little bit of it this afternoon. But flooding is not going to be the main concern with this system. It's the wet roads and the wet, saturated soils mixed with the windy conditions. The trees don't really have a lot of grip in the ground, so it doesn't take a lot of wind to blow them over. So we'll definitely be picking up the pieces of the trees and the power outages late tonight and into tomorrow when things finally begin to quiet down. Not to say an isolated shower or two isn't possible overnight and waking up early tomorrow morning, but it is not going to be the rain all day scenario like what we're seeing today. There's definitely going to be drier times, and especially in the later afternoon and evening on Thursday. This is 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, where we could even see some peaks of sunshine and blue skies returning. Enjoy it while you can, because more rain is on the way into Friday. With this first storm system, though, we'll see anywhere from a half of an inch of rain to maybe up to an inch. Again, we are not expecting flooding to be a super huge concern, but you see these areas in purple over the Santa Cruz Mountains. That's where you could potentially see a little bit of runoff in those areas, with upwards of an inch to 2 inches in the highest elevations. Not only rain, though, but snow. Upwards of 4 feet of snow possible by the end of the week. And into this weekend, with that secondary and that third system, we could see an additional 2 to 3 feet on top of the 4 feet. We could end up with anywhere from 60 to 70 inches of snowfall by the time things are all said and done early next week, because that is when the final push of rain will arrive. Today's system, though, is the strongest, so do keep that in mind. Today's system might include some thunderstorms and the gustiest of the winds. Friday, though, still is going to be some widespread rainfall, and then late Sunday and into Monday, that next wave will officially move in. So overall, our next 7 days are going to look very different than the past 7 days. It was beautiful to start off the week. Not so beautiful today. Also feeling a cool down. Highs only in the upper 50s to maybe low 60s throughout the next 7 days. So that warm weather that we felt, it was not here to stay. Definitely feels more like winter, because technically it still is winter. So make sure you grab an umbrella, grab a warmer jacket, but enjoy the rain, because we do need it this time of year. Soak it up and just be safe out there. Make sure 2 hands on the roads and take it easy if you are planning on driving this afternoon. Back to you.
Well, March is Developmental Disability Month, and we're highlighting Tarani, the Bay Area's 100-year-old flavor company. It's partnering with the East Bay Innovations to launch a barista training program for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That program, based at Tarani's San Leandro Flavor Factory, offers participants hands-on barista training, preparing them for employment in East Bay cafes. The initiative aims to provide job skills, build confidence, and help participants secure meaningful work.
I want to get a job. I want to be employed. And I like being in the public, and I live fairly close. I just live around East 14th. I'm too far away, so it's and I just want to be busy. I don't want to be sitting home all day.
Thank you so much. Arlen Ramirez will bring you the full story tonight at 5 on our evening edition. Straight ahead here at noon, fighting climate change one photo at a time. We'll introduce you to the staff in charge of taking more than 2 million photos of plants at the California Academy of Science. Well, there's a photo shoot taking place in Golden Gate Park, but instead of models, the muse of choice is a collection of leaves, branches, and dried flowers. Right now, the California Academy of Science is in the process of patiently digitizing their entire botany collection. It dates back to the 1700s, with more than 2 million specimens.
Faster than watching grass grow, Charlotte Pang and her team use a conveyor belt and digital camera to painstakingly take photo after photo, turning the California Academy of Sciences archive of plants into pixels.
It is the most efficient way to digitize a big collection like this.
A collection so big,
2.3 million specimens.
To understand the enormity of the project, just take a walk with Dr. Sarah Jacobs.
This family always catches my eye.
And you'll understand her love of botany.
The fruits of these flowers tend to have really cool hairs or trichomes, some of which have glands. They usually give us a cue or a clue what species an individual is.
And now, thanks to a private donor who awarded 2 separate grants worth $2.4 and $3.6 million, each species of plant in the Academy's archive will become immortalized into digital form, giving greater access to scientists who before had to physically visit the academy to conduct research.
We make these specimens so that we can understand how many of these species there are, how variable they are, so that we understand where they exist. So asking questions like, how do species respond to climate change? Information that can address that kind of question is definitely held within natural history collections.
But before they can roll out that kind of access, it's up to Charlotte and her team with a Netherlands company called Picture to process, barcode, and snap a photo of each sample.
So we do about 900 an hour, which most days amounts to about 4,000 to 6,000 a day.
A tedious task, but definitely faster than watching the grass grow.
And they hope to have the main bulk of their plant collection digitized by June. They also say the digital archive will help them preserve critical research for a very fragile collection. During the 1906 earthquake, the Academy lost a huge portion of their plant archive when 300,000 samples were burned during the fires. Still ahead at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, does the food in your freezer need to be updated? We have the list of the best new products of 2025. Yeah, you can see the camera shaking there. Well, food editors at Simply Recipes evaluated nearly 400 products to find the best new products for 2025. They judged them on taste, texture, and affordability, among other things. Simple Recipes' Mio Quinn shared some of her other faves on CBS Mornings.
This one is from a company called Sauce. Has lots of grated Parmesan cheese, a little cream, so it's technically a pink sauce. And you're trying it with a chunky corkscrew pasta from a company called Rumo. They're a 175-year-old Italian pasta company. Our testers were so impressed with the texture and the quality of the pasta.
The top pick for frozen vegetarian main dish was the 365 by Whole Foods Market Falafel Burgers. Porter's uncured pepperoni pizza topped the list for best new frozen pizza. Well, that's it for the afternoon edition. Remember, we're streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app. Our next newscast is at 5. Have a great afternoon.